Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Dilly with another video, and in this one, we're gonna be taking a look at Manchester United as they do to start. They are due to begin their Premier League season against Crystal Palace. I'm a Manchester United fan. If you did not know, so that's why I'm looking at this game with a little bit of fine-tuned eyes as we go forward. Hope you guys can join me during the watch along where we do watch Manchester United against Crystal Palace, and that will be a later game during the day. And the first one, the game I really want to see, I just want to see how Everton is gonna move forward after that win against Spurs on their opening day last week. So I just want to see what Everton are gonna come up with going forward. So that's the I'm planning to do a watch along on that. And if you can join me on that as well, I think we could just take a look at we could have possibly four watch alongs tomorrow, and that will include the game against Leeds United and Fulham, and then that will include Arsenal, but definitely Arsenal and West Ham. I want to see that one. Um, Arsenal really did perform well against Fulham last week, so that's another game that I want to see. But my main game for the day pretty much is going to be the United game against Crystal Palace. So in this video, I'm just gonna take a look at Manchester United a little bit. But before we can go any further, I would like to pass my condolences to Schalke today as they faced Bayern Munich as they opened up the Bundesliga, and the champions did not let up in this game, handing in 4 goals against Schalke. I mean, 8 goals. Why am I talking about 4 goals? I mean, they really put on a fine performance. Bayern Munich, uh, for Shaka, I don't know. Like as a footballer, as a professional footballer, how do you go forward from that type of defeat? It's not like it's the opening, it's not like it's the middle of the season or towards the last part of the season. This is an opening match day of the season, and you go ahead and lose by 8 goals to nil. I mean, Bayern Munich were very much dominant in this game. They could have scored more goals in the first half than it was in the second half. I feel like in the second half, Bayern Munich, Schalke kind of took the game to Bayern Munich just a tiny bit. Maybe that kind of created a little bit more space, leaving spaces open for Bayern Munich to go through. And to my surprise, Leroy Sané from Manchester City made his debut in this game, coming up with a debut goal as well. And of course, Serge Gnabry coming up with a hat trick in that one, and Lewandowski coming up with I think it was a penalty that he scored to mark his first game of the season with a goal. And I think Goretzka scored a goal as well, if I'm not mistaken. And there was a young fella named Jamal. I can't even pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to bother with that. He came up with the eighth goal of the game, and it was a really, really good watch, I must say. I thought maybe the game might be a little bit too boring, and I don't really watch too much of Bundesliga, but it turned out to be a really good game. And you gotta hand it to Bayern. Bayern played this game from minute 1 to minute 90 without letting up at all. But we're gonna jump into the matter at hand right now, as we have to take a look at what Ole said earlier today on his press conference, and we can then take it from there.
Here. How likely
Let's take a
is
watch.
Van de Beek to start this weekend, and how is he settled into the club in general?
He's settled in really well. He's a smashing boy, great personality, coming in with loads of energy and a big smile every day. And he played well against Aston Villa, so you're likely to see him. But of course, I'm not going to name the team here today. I'll have to do that to the boys in training after instead.
In terms of your aims for this season, top four, of course, was your big hope last year. What would you say would represent a successful season for Manchester United this time round?
Well, I think we can go into the new season with confidence with the way we finished last season. I think that that showed what we're capable of, and of course we need to we've developed throughout the season, and we need to keep on developing. And I think we've shown the potential. We need more consistency, of course, but I think with a year more experience, we should be getting that consistency. And towards the end, it's a group. I don't really want to say what they cannot do. I think they can go as far as they want themselves.
Simon P.
Morning, Ollie.
Hiya.
Morning, Ollie. As much as there is progress, we can see that on the field just a couple of weeks ago. If one glimpse at social media would suggest that there's a lot of fan discontent, do you understand the frustration at having only signed Donny, their frustration, and do you have a message for the fans ahead of the new season?
Well, I think, fans will always want the best possible team to watch, the best possible Man United team, and that's the passion we want. And of course, the history we've had, we can look back 10 years, 20 years, and of course you look back at the great players we've had. And for me, I think going forward, we need to take the last since Sir Alex left, we've been averaging fifth position. Last season we got third, which was a big step forward. I think everyone saw the development in the team throughout the season. Bruno coming in, Harry being the captain, really showing leadership skills on the pitch and off the pitch. Aaron did really well. So of course we want to take a step forward. We want to develop, and we can go into the season with confidence. But we're always looking to give the group a boost, and we're working on it.
You mentioned Harry there and the captaincy. Obviously, he had a tough time a few weeks ago. How's his mindset? Do you think the appeal will be on the back of his mind? And did you ever consider taking the captaincy away from him?
Well, the process will keep on going, and knowing Harry, he's a very strong character, so hopefully he can put that apart. But naturally, as a human being, it will be in the back of his mind what's happened this summer. And apart from that, you just got to see how it develops with Harry. Personally, I think he will be able to focus on his football. But then again, who am I to? How can you can't predict how people will react? But so far, he's trained well. He's been focused. So hopefully that process will just go on. And of course, we know it's a something that will go on in the legal department over there.
Already. What do I take out of this little bit of a news conference from Ole? I don't really take too much, to be fair. I think the man is frustrated with the transfers. I'm frustrated with the transfers as well. Do I see Manchester United making any more signings? Maybe. They're probably gonna do it in terms of like they are under pressure now because they see how other teams around Manchester United have done in this transfer window. And for me to just bring in Van der Beek, I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think for the stretch of the season and to top it off that we are in the Champions League as well, I really do not think this team is good enough to go past the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And that's me as a Manchester United fan, and I feel like I'm a diehard fan as well. I feel like this team is not good enough, and we're gonna be taking a look at the whole squad of Manchester United right now. just to see what the team looks like as it stands. Because I feel like this is just a bare bone team. There's really not much for me to look forward to as a fan, but at the same time, I enjoy watching the games. I really do enjoy watching the games, and I'll probably do anything in this world to make sure that I do watch the Manchester United games. Let me try and get something else here real quick. Let me see. Maybe this is the page. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, this is the other page I want to look at. This is the whole Manchester United lineup, team as it stands. The whole squad, right? So when I go look at the whole squad right now, like the top row here, we can all agree this is more like the first team, really, right? And then when we come to the bottom of this one, we do have Dean Henderson and David De Gea. These are the two most prolific goalkeepers you could argue in the league right now. But of course, David De Gea has had his own mistakes last season. Maybe you might argue as well in the past 2 seasons, David De Gea hasn't done what he has done in the last five after Sir Alex left. That could be an argument. And I understand that. But then again, taking a look at this very team, and then you do have another goalkeeper, Sergio Romero, as well. Is he a type of player to sit around, coming third to Dean Henderson and David De Gea at Manchester United and just collect a check? In my opinion, I think this guy needs to leave this season. For not for the fact that for the betterment of his career, I feel he needs to leave because and we do have Lee Grant as well as a goalkeeper there. So that's four. You could argue four quality goalkeepers at one club at one time. I don't think that's good uh, for either one of them. I think something has to give, especially between David De Gea and Dean Henderson. And for me, for Jesse Lingard, I have to say this is one of the players you could argue he's worth more on the transfer market now than any other player that United should be looking to sell, right? But at the same time, I feel like Jesse Lingard is one of those players who are more um we have more of a right to stay at the club for this season. Maybe not for 2, 3 more seasons, but especially for this season, just to add, just to maintain that little bit of a quality depth into the squad. Because this squad, to me personally, I feel like this squad is lacking absolute quality in the team and squad depth as well. Because if you take out at least one of these top guys right here. If you take out Bruno Fernandes, and of course we do have Donny van der Beek, of course he can replace Bruno Fernandes in the team. But what if you take out Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba? What else do you have in this team to hold on to? You cannot. I don't think we cannot really count on the likes of Matic for more than 20 games a season. I don't think that's a good enough squad to compete anywhere really. Are we gonna win any competition this season? I would love United to prove me wrong. I would love Manchester United to win everything there is to win this season. But I have to be realistic and come back to reality. That's not gonna happen with this team. That is not going to happen with this team. As of right now, if you ask me, um, does even the signing of a possible signing of Jordan Sancho, does it even count? To me, it really doesn't count at this point. I think it's too little, too late for Manchester United to be making these buys at this point in time. Like, if you are not really going to bring in Sancho, why wait for this long to make that decision? I think the transfer window has been very, very poor for Manchester United. But as I said, let's take a look at this whole team. Like I said, the top row, we can forget about that. That's the first team. That's the first team players that we do have right now. And then when we take a look at Dean Henderson as well, Is he somebody who's gonna really try to stick around behind David De Gea? On one hand, you could say it's really good that he's around so that he can challenge David De Gea, so that David De Gea can improve his game going forward, which is something that I like and something that I root for. But for the career of Dean Henderson and for his development as well, can that be one thing that will hinder his development at Manchester United? We shall see how the season is gonna go. And Ingalo as well. Like, this is not somebody we can count as a Manchester United player because he's gonna be gone by January the 31st or something like that. So we cannot really rely on Ingalo. So if you take out Ingalo out of this team and don't make him count, and then you just left with the outmost Manchester United players at this current place in time. If Martial were to get injured, who do you replace him with? If Rashford were to get injured, who do you replace him with? I don't see that much quality in this team, to be fair. Daniel James, I think he had a little bit of a poor season, uh, first debut season for Manchester United. I mean, you cannot really fault him that much, but I think he started very well. I'll give him that. He started very well. I think by the second half of the season, his performance is really dipped quite a bit. So I'm not quite so sure whether we can counter this guy that much this season going forward. And for Brandon Williams as well, I think he's a natural right back instead of a left back. So we need strengthening in the left back position. Only the designated left foot defender that we have right now, it is just Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw is injury prone. Is this somebody that we can really look at and say he's gonna take us somewhere this season? What if he's gone for like 3 months with an injury? Then who you replace him with? I don't think we can really rely on Brandon Williams for more than 20 games this season, in my opinion. As for Fosu Mensah, this guy still has a lot to uh, show his worth in the team, I feel. Victor Lindelof, you might argue, I think he's going to start in this game against Crystal Palace. I really think he's going to start against Crystal Palace because other than him, who else do you have? Eric Bay. Is Eric Bay fit enough to feature in this game? I really do not know. But we shall find out on the team sheet tomorrow. Wamba is one of those, you know, first team player. You cannot really argue with that. I think if I think Wamba needs to improve a bit more his touches, his first touches as well. I think you need to improve that. And Eric Bay, if he can just stay fit for like half a season, no, not even half a season, 3 quarters of the season, just stay fit. He still has to prove himself. I think that's his 4th year at United. I don't think he has played one single consistent season without getting injured for a long term. I don't think he is able to accomplish that. For Matic as well, you could argue right now we have the best midfield in the league, right? But at the same time, in terms of depth in that aspect of it, do we have the best um, depth in the midfield for the team? I don't really think so. In my opinion, I don't really think so. Matic can come in and do the job, of course. Fred can come in and do the job, of course. I cannot argue with that. But at the same time, I feel like we can do, as a Manchester United, as a club, we can do much, much better than Fred and Matic in the middle. Mark Tamini is still learning his craft, so I can't really rely on him that much. Even though last season, I think in the second half of the season, he really became more like a major player in the team. So I mean, we can pick out poison in this one, really. In terms of McTominay in the team, we can pick out poison. He can be a really, really, really good player, but he's still young. I'm pretty sure he's gonna improve even more this season. I'm gonna be looking forward to that. For me, my opinion on Guan Mata at the same time, right now, I feel like Guan Mata is one of those who really needs to leave. If it were by me, I will let Guan Mata leave. I know this team is young and this team needs a little bit of mentorship and everything like that. But in terms of business, in terms of team quality, I think Juan Mata is one of those we should be um we should be absolutely leaving the club. For Chris Smalling, just coming back from loan from Roma, he could go there on a permanent deal this season. That still has to be seen. But think, I think if Manchester United are able to keep Chris Smalling for this season, I think it will be much better choice in terms of like defensively. It could play. I think it could play better with Harry Maguire at the back. But that remains to be seen whether it's going to be around for this season or not. And for Phil Jones, this is one of those guys. Like, why are you still in the team? Like, I don't. To be fair, to be really really honest, I do not want to see Phil Jones anywhere near the team this season. Even if we are playing in a Carabao Cup, playing against a Division Two team, I do not want to see Phil Jones anywhere around the team. This guy is pretty. Is dead wood. He's one of those guys like you cannot wait for him to leave, but for some reason he just can't leave Phil Jones. Um, One of those problems it might be the fact that his wages are too high and no club will really want to risk bringing in Phil Jones. He's injury prone as well. Yeah, there's a whole lot of problems with Phil Jones. Phil Jones, I think he really needs to find somewhere to go, somewhere to go to open up some room for new players in Manchester United. That's how I feel. Andreas Pereira, you can pretty much put him in the same boat as well. I think this guy has been given way too many chances in Manchester United, and out of all of those chances, he has failed to produce when required. Andreas Pereira, he has failed miserably to produce when required. As for Dalot, you might I really really want to say this guy needs to leave, but at the same time we need squad depth. For what we have right now, I think he works. I think he provides something to the team, but for what we need, Dalot is one of those players who really need to leave. Marcos Rojo, what more can you say about Marcos Rojo? Just, I mean, him and Phil Jones should just request a transfer. Like, just do it. Request a goddamn transfer. Because I don't think these guys provide anything to the team at this point in time. All they do right now is just collect a paycheck, which I don't blame you. That's your profession. That's what you were promised to be paid. Whatever the length of contract you have, you can decide to stay and just collect. I don't blame you in any shape or form. But for Manchester United as a team and as a club and as a business, I think they could do a much better business plan than it is to keep players like Phil Jones, Marcos Rojo. You could argue Andreas Pereira and Juan Mata as well. If it were by me, this is the type of players I'll be kicking out the door the first thing the transfer window opens. We are already at least 3 weeks or so away from the transfer window to close, and there is still absolutely no movement in terms of players going out. Even you could argue in terms of players going in. All I see in the news is players being linked with Manchester United. The next day, you will see these players signing with a different club. And then I'm here asking myself, are we really linked with these players because the club is interested in buying these players, or are we just linked with these players just because the name Manchester United provides a lot of clicks? Because that's what I do not understand. That's what I'm trying to get my head around at this point in time. As for Transwebe, I mean, I could argue this could be his last season at Manchester United. I think this season is do or die for him. I think he needs to perform. I think he needs to stay fit. I think if he manages to stay fit, he could absolutely fight for his place in this team. I feel he's a really, really good player, but just like him and Eric Bay, these two boys needs to stay fit for the whole season. I feel even 3 quarters of the season, if you can just stay fit for that match and play as many games as possible, I think you do have a shot of probably staying a little bit more in Manchester United. As for right now, maybe a loan move will do for somebody like Twanzebe. Maybe a loan move will be a good thing for him. We shall see how that goes. Lee Grant, what more can you say? You were a fourth choice goalkeeper, which is something to play a part in the team. You know what? This is not FIFA, so you cannot just clear out everything you don't need and just buy things that you need. I think it could be very much necessary in terms of mentorship, league grants. So for him, I think he's comfortable in his position right now. I think moving forward, I think the goalkeeping situation really needs to be looked at with a fine comb as well. As for James Gardner, I think he's not gonna get too many chances this season in this team. I think he's one of those players like Chong who should be going on loan in some shape or form. I feel like he can do much, much better in that aspect of it. But yeah, this is my the Manchester United team as I see it right now. I really think we need a lot of improvement going forward. This team, there's a lot of dead wood. Players I really do not want to see anywhere near this team going forward. But as it relates to the game against Crystal Palace, let me see if I can find that. I think this will be my first 11 right here. I think this will be my first 11 to be fair. I think this is what the manager is gonna go with. I think this is like gonna be the main feature of this season. If all of these players manage to stay fit, I think this will be the main feature. Maybe you might argue after maybe 2 3 games in or something like that, 5 games in, you might argue that maybe Fred is one of those players who's going to be kicked out of the team, is going to be playing bench for most of the time. I think Van der Beek can claim his spot. There's a spot in this first 11 to fight for Van der Beek for sure. And the weakest link that I see right now will be Fred. And Fred will make a really, really good bench player going forward. I feel him and Matic. We might throw in McTominay in there. I think Matic, Fred, um, Fred, and McTominay are the 3 most players that I really look forward to this season on the bench. In terms of defenders, I'll put Eric Bay on the defense side of that. Maybe throw in Twanzebe in there as well. I think those are the most 2 players who can really make an impact in this team this season. In terms of strikers, of course, we don't really have that many strikers in this team right now. The only replacement that I can think of that's available right now, it is Ingalo right now for Manchester United. I think that's a really, really weak move. I mean, I'm happy for him. My brother, my African brother, is at Manchester United, living up his dream and all that. But I think at some point we need to flush away all of these things. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a result business, really. So if we're not getting the results, and if we get it, like if you take a look at this front three right here, if 2 of them are out of the team, who do you look to? That will be the question that I pose. Who do you look to? Is either Martial or Greenwood are out. Who do you look to? Rashford, Martial are out. Who do you look to? Rashford, Greenwood are out. Who you look up to say this player can come in and do the business? as for right now, I will argue that there is not that many choices going uh in the front, in the attacking part of the team. There's not that much to look forward to. But in the middle, I think in the middle we should be okay this season. Not good, but we should be okay this season if everybody stays fit. And of course, that goes to the back line as well. If everybody stays fit, I think we should be okay. But then again, these guys needs to perform week in and week out. They should be not. I mean, it happens in football. Players don't perform week in and week out, but these guys are gonna need to do that in order to really come up with a good season. As it stands right now, if you had to ask me, where would Manchester United actually finish in the table without even kicking a ball? As it stands with the team that we do have right now, and looking at the other teams around us, what they are doing, like in terms of transfers. If you look at Chelsea, for example, Chelsea have ruled, absolutely ruled the transfer window this time around, bringing in about 8, 9 players or something like that. Who cares? It's Chelsea. They are doing their business, and I respect that. But at the same token, Manchester United, I think they needs to be doing way better job in the transfer window. I haven't been confident with Manchester United in any transfer window for years now. This happens all the time. The manager will say, I have a list, the board knows what I want, and we're going to have a busy summer. Where, at what point since Sir Alex left, have we seen a really, really productive transfer window? Did we really need to was Bruno Fernandez meant to be in this team? If I were to ask that question for last season, he was supposed. This is a player was supposed to come in the summer transfer window, but then again, the same thing that's happening now happened happened in last transfer window. Everybody crying out for Bruno Fernandez to come in, but the board they had another thing, another thought process that had no meaning whatsoever. When you look at it, I think Bruno Fernandez came out to be a forced buy more than anything, and then he just turned out to be a really, really good player. A really, really something that we as Manchester United fans look forward to in every game going forward. Are we gonna get a player like that in any transfer window? I think it's gonna be far in between. I don't really trust this board. To be fair, I have no confidence whatsoever how this team is gonna perform this season. Coming into this one, I think. Let me take a look at um the next few matches for Manchester United, just to try and draw things into a little bit perspective here a little bit. Let me take a look at that here real quick. Let me see here. Where's Manchester United? See the schedule of this one. So the first match of the day of the season, of course, is against Crystal Palace. I'm gonna be doing a watch along on that. So if you can come on and help me out with that, I think that would be pretty cool. And then we do have a League Cup game. I'm not gonna count that. I'm just gonna look at the league fixtures. So League Match Day 2 is gonna be against Brighton, and that could turn out to be another tough game for Manchester United there if things don't pick up against Crystal Palace. I don't think this team has had a really good preseason as of right now. As we take a look at other fixtures after Brighton, we do have Tottenham. That could be a really difficult game as they've lost their first game of the season, and then we have to face Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton, Brighton, and Sheffield United, and then Sheffield United will be the last game of November. So the next one, two, let me see here. Let me count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's like 9 games from Crystal Palace to November 20th against Sheffield United, and those all of these are league games. Out of those 9 games, where do I see this team actually getting 3 points? Let me see. If we need to really perform from first whistle, we need to perform from the beginning of the game to the last against Crystal Palace. I think we can manage to get ourselves 3 points in that game. Brighton, we can manage to get ourselves 3 points in that game. That will make it 6 points. Spurs might be a rocky situation. I think Jose is gonna get things into order there against for Tottenham. I'm gonna be really looking at the Tottenham game and see how they perform. Because if they pull up the same performance as they did against Everton, I will have an idea as to whether Tottenham learned their lesson or not. If Tottenham did not learn their lesson, then I can say that's another 3 points, so that will make it 9 points in um in 3 games there. And then we do have a game against Newcastle. That could be another 3 points, so that will put us into 12 points. The game against Chelsea, I have to be honest, I have no confidence on that one. The game against Arsenal, I have to be really realistic about that. I have no confidence on that one. And then when I take a look at Everton with the way they kicked off their season, that could be a really rocky game as well. That will require everybody to perform out of their skin. And then of course West Brom, that should be easy 3 points. And the game against Sheffield United, what else can you say? I think no, that's Southampton, not Sheffield United. So Southampton on November 28th, that could be another 3 points, but that could be a rocky 3 points as well. As you seen at the last stages of last season. I think we played against Southampton. We had to win that game to secure a third spot before the last game of the season, and then we came out to draw that game towards the end of the game as well. So I think there's a lot of work for United to do until the end of the season. I think it's going to be a rocky season if we don't make any more signings. In my opinion, if I can bring my graph here back again, as I'm looking at it, this is a 4-2-3-1 formation. If we were to bring in Jordan Sancho, right, as an example, if we take out, let's just say Mason Greenwood, we just put him on the bench for a little bit. And if you insert Jordan Sancho in that position, I think it will make a lot the work a little bit easier for Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka, I don't think is gonna be needed to go forward as much. I think everybody will be on Sancho, so that will pretty much create spaces for Bruno. I think if you really if this team actually does get Jadon Sancho, it will really make it a very difficult proposition for any opposition because you're gonna have players like Martial, Rashford, Popper, um, Bruno, and possibly Sancho as well to look after. I think that's gonna make things difficult for any opponent, not just any less teams. I mean, even like the top, the Liverpools, the Man Cities, the Spurs of this world. I think will have a really tough time uh trying to take care of all these 5 players. And of course, counting Sancho, and then when you bring in somebody like Mason Greenwood in the second half, give him like 30 minutes or something like that, and just round down defenders, I think will make it a much easier job for players like Wan-Bissaka. We don't really not gonna need him to go forward as much. But for Luke Shaw, I think Luke Shaw really needs to step up his game this season. And I hear there's a little bit of news in terms of a left back coming in, Tellez. What is it? I think it's from Porto, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I'll read into that because I'm not 100% sure. But I think if you can manage to bring in players like that, I think it will make things much better for the back line. And I'm excited for this game. I'm excited for the first game of the season. I just hope that the team actually comes out and impose its intent for the season. If we can kick off the season, even if we win by 1 goal, I really will not care. I think for this game, what's more important more than anything is to try and get 3 points by any means necessary. And then we can move on from there. And then for teams that are in the top six, your Chelsea, maybe you can put Spurs in there, you can put Arsenal in there, you can put Man City, of course, and teams like Liverpool. If we can manage to go into those games and actually get maybe like 1 point in every one of those games, I think that would be a much better output than losing those games, I feel. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is getting 3 points in every goddamn game. But I don't see that happening. So for the life of me, I want that to happen. I would love to see my team perform the same way I saw Bayern Munich tearing Schalke apart today. Like I would love to see that type of performance, that type of commitment going forward for everyone, for every player in this Manchester United team. But that remains to be seen. I'm gonna be watching the game with my eyes glued in front of the television screen, nicking and picking in every goddamn thing, every mistake these fools are gonna make into this game. You're gonna hear it first from me for sure. And I'm looking forward to the game. I just hope we just kick off with 3 points. That's all I need. 3 points by any means necessary. I think will be a good start of the season. But I wanna more than anything, really, I just wanna see a little bit of zest, a little bit of intent this season. I mean, we're not gonna win the league. I totally agree with that. Uh, like just show a little bit of fight, show a little bit of self pride. I think that will go a long way this season. We are fighting for top four again. This is not a top two team. This is not a top three team. We are fighting for top four this season. Liverpool are strengthening. They already brought in Thiago today. You look at Manchester City. Manchester City, I don't even think Manchester City need that much. I think they're gonna bring in Koulibaly for a centre back. I think if you just bring in Koulibaly, I think Manchester City team is already a made team by now. Look at Chelsea. Like I said before, they brought in a track full of players this season. It's gonna go a long way for them. I think it's gonna make things much easier for Chelsea this season. And Spurs, of course, Gareth Bale coming in. How well is he gonna perform? He hasn't really played that much football as of late at Real Madrid, but he's at Spurs. Is back again as Spurs. How well is he going to perform? I think those are the 1, 2, 3 teams that will really, as a Manchester United fan, looking at things at the Manchester United fan point of view. I think those are the teams we should be looking at this season. I think uh, Spurs are going to be fighting for that top four as well. Definitely, Arsenal are going to be fighting for that top four. But the second game for Arsenal for tomorrow is gonna tell me a little bit of where this team is. I know right now all Arsenal fans are running around like chickens with their heads cut off, all celebrating. You only beat Fulham. Let's get that clear. You really haven't played a game this season. You just played Fulham. Let's just get that out of the way. You just played Fulham. I think it's gonna be a really good season for many people. But for me, as a Manchester United player, coming back to reality, I think it's gonna be a long drawn season for Manchester United. But those are somewhat of my opinions. If you agree, let me know in the comment section down below. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just come along and watch the games with your boy. We're gonna be doing a watch along. Hopefully, I'm able to wake up a little bit early tomorrow so that I can set up the Everton game against West Brom. that could be, I don't know. I don't know. We might do that watch along, depending on whether I wake up early or not. And of course, the different time zones and stuff like that kind of makes things a little bit more different and a little bit more difficult to follow the games. But since I'm a football fan first. No. Correction. I'm a Manchester United fan first, and then I'm a football fan. So I like to watch all sorts of teams play, especially when my team is not playing. I like to tune in, like I did today, watching Bayern Munich against Schalke. It turned out to be a really, really good game. But if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. Bayern Munich are a beast of a team. But as for now, I have been your boy Dilly once again. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel and drop a like on the video. And I'll catch don't forget to comment as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.